Hi, everybody. It's really exciting to be able to talk to all of you because truly my career path started with the Greenfield Youth Film Festival. So I'm going to put on a little presentation, some videos in there and stuff. I'll be talking over top of it, but I'll probably disappear on video. So one sec, here we go.
Okay, while she's getting her presentation together, if you have questions, can you please put them in the chat and make sure that your microphones are muted, please.
All right, so welcome to my presentation on crazy ideas and how they can actually get you to where places like where I am today in the business. So as I already mentioned, I literally started my career with the Greenfield Youth Film Festival, and it only took one wacky video to do it. And so basically when I first started making short films at the age of 13, all that I really had was a burning creativity inside of me, a love for film and TV, the inspiration from role models, starting with my dad who went to film school, and the time to experiment. And it just so happens that YouTube at the time had just become a thing. And so I took a stab at sharing it with the world, this particular video. And the feedback that I was getting was incredible. And here's a little snippet. I'm going to play it in a second. But basically, I made a mockumentary, a short mockumentary, not making fun of Steve Irwin, but I really, really loved him at the time. I love animals. So it was a way for me to not only exercise my passion for filmmaking, but also share my love for animals and show my comedic side. And at the time, a lot of people in school hadn't seen that side of me yet. So next thing you know, overnight, this video gets leaked around my school and people are loving it. And I think they loved it the most because they loved seeing somebody be unapologetically themselves and put themselves out there without reservation. So you guys are in a great place where you are now at this festival, and also just being young filmmakers. It's an amazing way to express yourself and can forge connections for the future that you wouldn't even imagine right now. So I'll play this little video for you just to show you how ridiculous it is and how it got me where I am.
Hello and welcome to the Drew Irwin Show. My name is Drew Irwin and here we have a clawless crab. Here is a species known to the bay, which we will be exploring today. It has no claws, or I could have just ripped them off, but it still has no claws, which makes it a clawless crab. We're going to set him free now. Oh, when he hit the deck. Here is a dungeon crab, and dungeon crabs live mainly in dungeons, and in those dungeons, they eat. It's gonna hurt you. No one's gonna hurt you. And I got him. Oh, let's go. Oh. This sucks. Oh, ferocious. This is a baby robin.
So you guys get the gist here. Very, very silly, but people responded to it. And it truly and utterly actually is who I am deep down inside. So when you receive feedback like that, for something so silly, I mean, it can take you places, believe it or not. So the point here is that if the creativity, the vision and passion to make films and videos burns inside of you, make the content, share it, and build your audience. You have to start somewhere. And you guys couldn't be in a more better place to start. And really, it's about putting yourself out there. A lot of people don't do that. And it's truly the first step to take in building a career path for yourself in the business. All of what I basically just said. So the way in which this video and the festival helped me get to where I am is because the judges that year remembered me for years to come. So I went to film school, graduated film school, came back to Philadelphia, and basically one of the producers who was a judge at the Greenfield Youth Film Festival called me out of the blue, and it just so happened she was producing her own independent film here in the area and was looking for production assistants. So next thing you know, I'm on this independent film set with her. And on the first day, she says to me, I'm going to put you in charge of background casting. And so that was my introduction to casting. And since then, this is all of what I said before too. Since then, I've been immersed in the world of casting, and I've had the fortune of being able to work in all the different kinds of casting, starting mainly with background. And that led me to getting a job here in Philly with a casting director who does commercial casting. And during that time of working for her, believe it or not, I met the head of casting at DreamWorks at the time at a wedding, believe it or not, which is crazy. So it's always important, no matter where you are, what setting you're in, to put yourself out there, first with your films, and then of course, face-to-face with people. Never be afraid to walk up and introduce yourself to somebody. Because this woman who worked for DreamWorks at the time ended up, same thing, reaching out to me years later, asking what I was up to, and basically gave me the job of a lifetime working for her and Steven Spielberg. And then now I'm in unscripted casting. I'll go through that later, but let me move on to scripted, tell you a little bit about that. So scripted casting is fun, but there's a lot of players involved. There's a lot of politics involved per se. I mean, you're dealing with major studios, you're dealing with big budget films, A-list actors, agents, you name it. I mean, a lot of people involved. So just to give you a rundown of how casting, is, I guess, handled for scripted work, is it all starts with budget. Actors need to get paid. The bigger the actor, the bigger their paycheck is, they're going to demand it to be. So it all starts with budget. Now, the woman I worked for at Spielberg's company, she was basically in charge of hiring the casting director, who would then go down and do all the groundwork, the nitty gritty auditioning for mainly the supporting and the day player roles. Day players are actor or the roles in a film or a TV show where maybe that person has like 3 lines, or they're only in one scene but they speak, so they're more important than background. And these are people that require actually some training, whereas background actors don't really require any training at all. And while I'm on the topic of background actors, it's something that anybody can always do. And if you check your local, like the film office here in Philadelphia always posts opportunities on their job list. It's a great way to just get on set, meet people, and kind of get a feel for what it's like behind the camera and in front of it. So coming back to scripted, making lists. So the next thing that we would do is we would make talent lists. And this basically is a list, and I'll show you guys in the next few slides from now. So you take the character, you break down the script, you find the characters involved, then you make lists of all the possible actors who could play that person. Whether they're, right for it or not in the end, it's just a brainstorming session. And I was able to actually do this with my boss quite often. And the reason why this picture is on the right-hand side is because it was one of my most memorable projects that I worked on there, which was Spielberg's West Side Story. It comes out in December. And the reason why this is my favorite project to work on is because of how difficult the casting was. So Spielberg is, as we all know, he's at the top of his game because he knows what he's doing. He has an eye for talent too. And when he's directing his film, it has to be to the T exactly how he wants that story to play out and the faces to do so. So when it came to casting Maria for West Side Story, we had a lot of trouble doing that. And mind you, we started at the top of the celebrity list. But the requirements were that she had to be, in the age range of Maria in the story, which is late teens, early 20s, had to be Puerto Rican, ideally, and if not, Latina. And then also had to be able to act, sing, and dance without having training, essentially. So it got to the point in casting where, we were auditioning people like Ariana Grande and Camila Cabello, and none of them really pulled it off. So we ended up having to, my boss and all the casting directors that ended up getting hired basically had to go on a national search to find this girl. And lo and behold, they found her in a theater program in high school in New Jersey. And she's a star. I mean, overnight is a star. I haven't seen the film yet, but I know she's going to do great. And she's already been cast in other films since then. I'm pretty sure she's playing Snow White in the new Snow White. So it's fun to see in the busy, you know, kind of crazy cutthroat world of Hollywood, see opportunities like this and stories like this happen, because it is possible. So here is an example of a list. This is a real list from when I worked there. It was for the movie The House with a Clock in Its Walls. And so as you can see on the left-hand side, we put the role name and we put the actors' pictures, their name, and then in that middle column there is their agency. It's very important that we have all that information so we can easily pick up the phone, call the agency and ask, hey, is Alexander Skarsgård available these dates? And so if he is, which he was at the time, we put available and where he currently is located. This is very crucial for the casting process, just to streamline it. And then, so the big name, yeah, they're busy people. You know, this is just an idea list too, that ultimately, like, somebody who gets cast in a film, in one of the films, might not actually be on this list. Just like Maria from the slide before. We had exhausted lists like this for her and had to rework how we were going to find her. And lo and behold, we did. So unscripted casting, this is what I work in now. It's reality TV. It is my bread and butter, because what I found early on, and it started with the festival, it started with every little job I had in between now and then, that I have a knack for people and I should lean on that strength and I should have fun with that in my job. And sure enough, I mean, in scripted casting, it's a little, you know, that opportunity kind of isn't as available as it is in unscripted casting. This is where I could use my creativity. I could use my knack for people. I could give everyday people the chance to shine, which is the best part for me. So the way unscripted casting works is it all starts with the network. The network will greenlight a show, either a first season or a recurring popular show. I was fortunate enough when I first started in unscripted casting to jump on the first season of The Circle. And because I had no experience, but I made an impression in that little informational interview with one of the bosses on the show, they were like, we're going to bring her on anyway as an assistant. And very quickly, I worked my way up to become a casting associate producer, who was basically the casting director's right-hand girl, doing anything and everything to help this show get cast. And in the process too, the executives from England had come over to basically meet us all and see how everything was going. And we spent one night out together, and that goes for me and the rest of the casting team in the US. And next thing you know, they're so impressed by just my personality that they invited us all to come work on the show in England. So it's little things just like being personable that can really take you far. So little fun thing, let's see, casting team. So outreach, the way we cast these shows is basically like what you guys probably spend your free time doing a lot, which is being on social media, you know, maybe listening to the radio, knowing what's popular, podcasts, things like that. It's about spreading the word. And sometimes, a lot of the time, actually, it's about going out to find specific types of people. So we could have 1 million applicants on a show, but maybe only 2 of them are really right to the network. That is, they're the people who finally say yes. We might love somebody on the casting team, you know, really spruce them up for when we present them. The network could turn around and say, we don't like them, which has happened more times than one. So we basically build a pool of potential candidates for the show and do pitching rounds to the network basically every 2 weeks or so. We will pitch a group of people. And if they turn around and say, we don't like any of them, we have to dig and either find somebody we've already found or hit the pavement again and find these people. And sometimes that even means doing open calls, It means handing out flyers to businesses and areas, that kind of thing. It depends on what kind of characters, and mind you, these are real people, but we call them characters for the show that they're looking for, or holes they need to fill. Another thing a lot of people probably don't know is that editors are a huge part of the unscripted casting process. We hire a team of editors to come on with us to basically take the 30-minute interviews that we do with these candidates and boil them down into a nice, pretty little 2-minute, basically it's like a 2-minute bio on them and how they would play a role in the show with music and graphics. And we go on their social media and we pull up pictures of them. We really make them look great, so the network is impressed, and hopefully we'll cast them. So if you like to edit, there's so many avenues to go down with that. If you like casting and editing, this is perfect for you. So this is just another fun little thing that I got to do because of, I mean, it all boils back to what I learned early on. And this happened in England on the set of The Circle. Since it was season 1, we basically had to do a trial run for Netflix to approve us to begin shooting the actual show. So we had fake contestants, a fake host who ended up being me. The show creator knows I have the personality, I'm fun, and basically gave me no choice but to do this. And it was a lot of fun. I'm not allowed to share this on social media, so you guys, this is a special viewing for you.
Welcome to The Circle, the brand new game show that asks, how real would you be if $100,000 was at stake? Our players will be living their best lives on lockdown, right here in these incredible custom-made apartments. They're living just inches away from each other, but they can't see or hear one another. And they never meet face to face while playing the game. And their only communication is through a voice-activated social media platform called The Circle. That doesn't sound menacing or creepy at all. Players have full control of their profile, which they'll use.
So for those of you who have seen the show, I'm obviously filling in for Michelle Buteau, who's the host now. But this is just another great example of the fun and random opportunities that one thing can lead to, and then to the next, and all that, you know, all that jazz. Let me get back to my presentation here. So, present. Cool. Let's see what's next. So as basic of advice as this is, it is so very true. You know, grow on your passions, always hold on to it, because it will lead to pursuit, and that will lead to opportunity. And you guys you're off to a great start by participating in this film festival, by even identifying that making content or filmmaking or TV, or all of it is the passion of yours. Hang on to that and never let it go, because it does lead to growth and it does lead to success. And so building your network now, it starts with the judges for this film festival. That's how I did it, and you guys can do it too. I will be a judge, so I'll be watching all of you, and definitely keeping my eye out for the next star. And so understand also that everyone starts from the bottom, and always be willing to jump in wherever opportunity awaits. Maybe you are an editor, but you get on a film set and you know, you're looking at the actors and you're like, well, maybe I'd like to try that out. Or maybe you have no choice but to do a certain task on a film set that isn't editing. Just take it in, learn as much as you can, because you never know when that experience could come in handy later on. And like I said before, never let go of your passion, lean on your strengths, and be prepared to learn constantly. It's as simple as that, truly. And that is, I think that's a wrap. For me, I'm going to come back on video. Questions, questions.
Lots and lots and lots of questions.
Bring it on.
Okay, the first question is, what's the craziest idea you've ever had?
Craziest idea I've ever had.
I stick to filmmaking.
I mean, oh gosh, I've done some weirder ones in this video. I guess, I mean, I show this film, I show the Drew Irwin Show as an example of probably, it is my craziest idea I've ever had, and actually carried out and made it. I'm actually married to a screenwriter. He writes freelance full time, and he is the idea man. So, I mean, I should have stolen some of his ideas to say, but the Drew Irwin Show for me was the craziest idea I've ever had, because I actually carried it out, and I actually went out to catch animals, and I actually skipped play dates with my friends to be like, no, I'm in the bay, you know, sticking my hands in the mud and pulling crabs out, that kind of thing.
Okay, we have a lot of questions about celebrities you met, so I'm just going to sum it up. Who are some of the celebrities you might have worked with that they would recognize?
Well, I mean, I met Steven Spielberg, which was incredible. I actually, like, he came into my office out of nowhere at random and shook my hand, which was great. Celebrity actors wise, I've met a lot of them. My boss's job at the time too was to meet new talent constantly. So it was my job to set up meetings with up and coming actors. Sometimes they were already established actors. For example, the first one I ever set a meeting with for her was with, what's her name? Regina Hall, who's in that new show, 9 Perfect Strangers on Hulu. She's in Scary Movie. Who else? Winston Duke, who's actually, I consider a friend of mine. He's in Black Panther. I forget what his name is in the movie. He's the big guy who wears like the teeth on him and stuff. Who else? Billy Eichner. I had fun with him. The other thing my boss would do too is set up every year the Emmys and the Oscars party, which was a fiasco. But I got to work the party one year. So, I mean, left and right, I was meeting celebrities, tons and tons of them.
I'm sorry, what is your favorite type of casting to do?
Easily reality TV, because this world is full of real people, right? And there are stars there somewhere, and they would never get the chance to be in a Spielberg film, but they would absolutely get the chance to be on The Circle, something like that. So that makes my heart sing when I can, you know, find somebody and give them that shot.
On the cast list that you had earlier, available, not available, UK, the number next to their name, was that their age?
That's their age. Yep.
Okay. Who was your favorite? I can't even read that. I'm going to guess it's actor to cast.
Favorite actor to cast. We did a low budget horror, which unfortunately didn't go anywhere. After you do all this work, it's another side note. Sometimes in casting, you do all this work, you pull teeth to get people in the roles, they shoot the film, but then the film doesn't sell. The film still always has to sell to a studio. So in this case, we had a low budget horror passion project of the writer. He was going to direct it too. They had Jim Henson Company on board to make the monsters for the movie. Really, really cool stuff. And the lead actress, we were shooting high hopes at first. The director wanted Naomi Watts, right, to play the lead. And after back and forth, she drops. She doesn't want to do it. So last minute, my boss like came up with this brilliant idea. Jillian Jacobs is an up and coming actress. She's not a Naomi Watts, but she's getting there. And she presented her as an option to Spielberg, who immediately said, no, she's too young. But my boss said, you know what? I'm just going to put her on tape and send it to him and then see what he says. And after that, the girl got cast in the movie. So that was probably, and next to, of course, Maria in West Side Story, which was a struggle.
Okay. Based on your knowledge, would skills in unscripted or scripted casting be useful to be an A&R in the music industry?
Audio and record, is that what that means? AR?
Dave?
Is he there?
He's not there.
So what skills? Well, I wish I could understand better what the role is exactly. Is this somebody who composes music?
So an A&R is somebody who searches for talent in the music industry. They're normally somebody who just goes out and they search for different artists, and then
Sure.
they bring them back to the record label to see if they would sign them.
Sure. Well, I think like in casting, you need to, first of all, know your actors, watch a ton of film and TV. I mean, that was my number one homework when I first started working in scripted casting. Know actors, know who's new on the scene, know who's been on the scene and is still hot, that kind of thing. I guess in the music world, it's the same thing. Listen to music from all generations, from all eras, see what sells the most. Also know what currently is hot at the time, you know? And then combine all that knowledge when you're out scouting talent, music artists, to say, hey, that guy's got kind of like a Jimi Hendrix swag to him. And so I think, and Jimi Hendrix is an icon. He's somebody who will never not, he's a household name, basically. So use what you know about household names and popular music to then go out and find it yourself.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Your next question is, where did you study film?
At Temple.
Could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, I know. So what Temple, so it's my dad went to film school at Temple, which is where this really all started. When I found that out, I said, holy smokes, like you can make a job out of this. You can go to school for this. Like I'm all in. So Temple, I mean, it was the best. I first went to ASU for a year and a half. They did not have a film program. Transferred to Temple, and it was the best thing I could have done. They, among many other schools like Drexel, I know Vanderbilt does it. They all do it. NYU, Syracuse, they do study away programs in LA. And I did that my senior year of college with Temple, and it was the best thing I could have ever done. And I highly recommend it to all of you guys when you guys go to film school, if you do, to do that program, because you do need to go and see it for yourself and be in it for yourself in the industry, in the real world. It really helps you navigate where you're going to go next, basically.
So the next question, I think you answered it already, but if you want to answer it again for this young man, why did you pick Crazy Ideas?
Why did I pick it? Well, you know, I kind of, Dave Thomas, who's here right now, he is a lifelong mentor of mine. He's the whole reason why I actually decided to pursue this in the real world, because for a while, even in high school, I was feeling a bit discouraged, or like it wasn't really realistic to have a career. People go to law school, they become a lawyer. People go to film school. Well, I don't know what I want to do. And when I graduate, where am I going to end up, you know? And he pushed me to still pursue it. And it all started with him loving that crazy video of mine and encouraging me to put it out there. And it really paid off in the end.
Okay. Did you work for any of the big studios?
Not as a like full-time employee, but I've cast shows for Netflix. I've cast shows for HBO Max. I've worked on TLC shows in development. And then of course I worked for Amblin, which has its own mainstay on the backlot of Universal Studios. Spielberg signed a deal with them in the beginning of it all for him. And so he always has a home there.
You answered that already. What was it like working with Netflix versus a regular network?
Amazing. But keep in mind, it's such a big company now that there are divisions for each, you know, all the stuff that they put out. So I was working specifically with the unscripted division, which at the time was kind of a new thing for the streaming platforms. Not everybody was putting out reality TV shows like they are today. I mean, Hulu's got them, Amazon's got them. You name the platform, they've got reality shows. So Netflix really broke the ice with that. And if you work in unscripted casting, like you've got to be a fun person. So, but of course the bosses had to be bosses. And in England, I actually had the chance to meet them face to face. And one of them's a Philly guy, one of the Netflix unscripted bosses. So just know also that having ties to Philadelphia will always do you wonders.
Okay, when you first started out how did you cast actors? Would you use Craigslist or Backstage?
So when I was in commercial casting, we would source talent from local talent agencies. No matter what industry or part of the industry you're in, if it's commercial work or scripted work or even unscripted, you don't need an agent. They're real people. So in those other two kinds of fields, you definitely need representation because that's casting directors' main way to pull talent for auditions, basically.
Other than filming reality shows, how could you film a film with more fantastical elements?
So could you ask that one more time?
Sure. Other than filming reality shows, how could you film a film with more fantastical elements?
I
Dave?
mean, one of my favorite examples of this, and I learned this in film school, is like, well, you always know, work with what you've got, right? If you can't find actual people to be in your film, think outside the box. You know, for me, not only did I love animals and still do, but I'm like, these would be great co-stars for my movie. Like, none of my friends want to do it. None of my family wants to do it, but I can do it. And these animals can do it. So I'm going to do it. Another great example in film school, I took a documentary class and we were shown a short documentary. It's infamous now, that a guy made. It's about Karen Carpenter. She's one of the singers from the Carpenters, which is a band from the late 1950s, early 1960s, something like that. She has basically a sad story about her. And he told it all through using Barbie dolls. And the film is famous, super, super famous, very inspiring. It's called Karen, I think it's Karen Carpenter's The Carpenter Story, something like that. It's by Todd Haynes. So you always seeing people do stuff like that makes you think outside of the box. Like you don't always need actual
Seriously, Tina.
people to make it happen, you know, make a film happen.
Sorry. What is the best way to make contact besides visiting someone's house?
Contact?
Contact.
You know, it never hurts to find email addresses, call them, you know, just email your resume or just ask if they'd be willing to meet for coffee or even Zoom with you for 10 minutes, just to give you information and ask questions. You'd be surprised. You think Hollywood's this cutthroat, mean industry, but it's really not. It's full of people just like me who, you know, if you're nice to them, it can go a very long way. They're very helpful too, always eager to help, especially people your age who are just starting out and truly need that insight into the industry. They're more than willing to help because we were all once there too, you know?
How did you find the cast for The Circle? And there's more to that question. Hang on one second.
Sure.
Do you have advice for anyone? Do you have advice for anyone thinking of becoming an actor? And what can you do to get a better chance at getting casted?
Sure. So I'll start with The Circle casting. Just like any show I've cast, and this one was particularly hard because it was a season 1 show. No one had heard of it. And it was very hard to convey over a phone call. It was even hard to convey in writing in our flyers. And so how we cast shows, reality shows, is through applications. And by blasting that application information to any and every possible outlet we can that will find the types of people we're looking for. So, for example, I've cast some dating shows. Those are fun. I mean, my first dating show, I'm thinking to myself, where's the best place to find single people? Well, it's dating apps, of course. So next thing you know, I'm using my old dating app profile to basically find people who are interested in applying for the show and having them audition. And I cast on the HBO Max show, 12 Dates of Christmas. I found pretty much half the cast by doing that. So it's about thinking the people, you know, you're looking to find and how to find them. Everyone's on the internet today. Everyone's on social media today. You can search and find keywords that, you know, match the types of characters that the network is looking to be on this show. And I was going to tie it into the other questions, but now I forget them. Oh, I think.
Okay, I'm back. Do you have
Hi.
advice for anyone thinking of becoming an actor, and what they can do to get a better chance of getting casted?
Sure. So start training now. I know it probably sounds tedious on top of all the things you have to do in life and going to school and this and that and making films, but if you truly want to be an actor, it starts with training. And once you're trained and once you have some work under your belt, also be willing to work for free and work from the ground up. Start from the bottom. Do background work. Get to know other actors on set. Get to know the people who are actually making the film itself, because these are the people, if you do that, who will remember you in the future and give you opportunities. But training is crucial, and also having an agent. But you can't get an agent without experience and training. So that's why I say train, train, train.
Okay, Joel is asking how tall is too tall when it comes to casting? And I don't
Oh.
understand what he means by literally for the next question, but of course actors have been fired, Joel.
So it's funny. I guess it depends on the character. If it's a scripted project, obviously we just wouldn't consider anybody if the characters in the script is described as a short, scruffy, individual. We're not going to look at 6 foot tall, clean shaven men. We might consider them, but that's the beauty of actors, is that they can change their appearance too. And there's hair and makeup, of course. In reality TV, it's actually always desirable, at least for the guys, and especially for the dating shows, that they be taller. But it all depends on who the rest of the cast is too. So I would say for unscripted, there isn't such a thing as too tall, basically. And it's okay to be short. Remember that.
Julianna says, keep jumping around on me. Have you ever had to collaborate with other people while casting, and has that created conflicts for you?
Yes, it sure has. I mean, yes, I have. And conflict, I wouldn't say. Roadblocks, sure. Like I said, season 1 of The Circle was so difficult. It was so difficult to tell people exactly what the show is about. It was difficult to find people who, although $100,000 was on the line that they could possibly win, it was hard to convince them to come to England to do this show that they still didn't understand fully. So we were having trouble even having people apply or take interest. So we had to then outsource. What else can we do to get the word out? Let's try podcasts. Let's try radio stations. Let's try popular avenues for people who would actually be great on the show, like things that they like to listen to and watch. Maybe they'd be willing to share opportunities. And 9 times out of 10, they wouldn't. So we would have to scrape on our own accord, hear nothing back, basically be ghosted by people who could really potentially help us spread the word, and just, do what we could to fill the holes.
So I have a question. I think we're out of questions here. I have a question.
Sure.
Do you get barraged with people wanting to be casted that aren't actors?
No, I mean, for unscripted, that's the beauty of it all. I can't tell you how many of my friends, even when I was working in commercial casting, my mom would come in for auditions because she fit the specs of the role. One time it was for like Thuman's Deli Meats, and they were looking for an older woman. Oh, sorry, 1 second. So I, more often than not, the first thing I do when I start working on any project is think of my personal network. Who would be great? Reach out to them first And I've gotten most of my friends auditions for these shows, for the reality shows. Technically, they're not allowed to know the producers, but you know, a little white lie here and there doesn't matter, and we can get them in there. I love to see my friends shine. I love to just see anybody shine, have the chance to.
Any other questions? Oh, when you first started your film journey, did you see yourself in the casting arena?
Great question. Great question. I had no clue what I was going to do or what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to be in the film world, in the entertainment world. And thank God for that first job, which one of the Greenfield Festival judges gave me out of film school and basically told me I'm going to be doing casting. And it didn't take me long to realize I like this. And the only reason why people are coming back to set every day for no pay at all is because they trust me and they like me and they're having fun here. And, you know, I love making that opportunity available to other people. And it just rolled on from there.
Any other questions? Does anybody want to speak to Julianna? Other than, have you worked with Danny DeVito, which has popped up 900 times?
No, I wish. Danny DeVito. What a
Sandy,
great one. Someone want to?
yeah, he had his hand up, but he put it back down.
Well, I encourage all of you, if you have social media, to follow me. If you want to, Dave Tom, what is he doing back there? If you want to learn about casting opportunities that I'm working on, please feel free to follow me. That's probably the best place to find them. I share them all the time. It's a blend, obviously, of my personal account, but also my work account.
And how would they
And
follow you?
so they can just search my name, my full name, which is the Julianna Guilianti name. I've changed it now on Facebook and Instagram. But those are our tools in the unscripted world, is social media. So my page will likely lead you to other casting producers' pages and so on and so forth, which means more opportunities.
I'm typing it in the chat.
My Instagram is public, so you can just follow me and, you know, just check if you see me post on my story, it might just be a silly something, which it normally is, or it could be a casting opportunity.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you so much for joining us.
Thank you. This is fun. I can't wait to see your films.